You heard it here first. According to Fed President Waller, who agrees with Jerome Powell, the inflation battle is over. Now, what is Fed President Waller saying? He is basically saying, hey, the parts of our economy that can be measured with actuals are all showing that inflation is now under 2%. In fact, the only parts of the market that aren't under 2% are the ones where we use imputed prices. Now, what the heck is an imputed price? Folks, in layman's term, an imputed price is an estimate. So according to Fed President Waller, he is far more comfortable using actuals than imputed, aka estimates. Specifically, what he is saying is the inflation problem is mostly over. Why? The segments over 2% are imputed prices, which are perceived to be less indicative, aka less valid. What are some other things that Fed President Waller is saying in the last 24 hours? Filling out the December SEP, the SEP being the basically what we call the dot plot, their future expectations for rates, economy, things of that nature, was very difficult given policy uncertainty. More on that in some further comments. Number two, rates are restrictive today. Labor market is not behaving like an economy overheating. We actually got some labor data today. We will talk about that in a minute. Next, it is hard for markets and the Fed to assess next year until policies are certain. And then lastly, U.S. deficits may also be driving long-term yields. What does all this mean? Number one, the Fed, frankly, the Fed's December dot plot probably should be thrown away. We've now heard from multiple Fed presidents, in fact, Jerome Powell in front of the podium, that some Fed presidents assumed what would happen with policies, tariffs, things of that nature. Others did not. And anytime you take a collective survey of 19 individuals and you have different base assumptions, no bueno, not good. So again, it does also seem like the Fed is starting to understand specifically real estate, right? Shelter costs. Given that shelter costs are imputed versus up-to-date actuals, it is not very valid. All right, well, let's talk about some employment data. We actually got two employment data today. One, because the market will be shut tomorrow for President Carter's, funeral. They're shutting it in remembrance. So we got the ADP report. The ADP report, private payrolls. Again, let's set it up. Last month, we did 146,000. It was estimated to come in at 136, so down slightly. Actually, it came in down to 122,000. Again, still adding jobs, still triple digits, but only added 122,000. Wages, a big part of this, right? We are watching for any potential uptick in the wage price spiral. Came in at 4.6% year on year. So wages are up 4.6%. That is actually the slowest pace since July of 2021. Think about that. 4.6% year on year wage increase. It is the slowest since July of 2021. On top of that, normally we get this on Thursday, but today we got it Wednesday. We got the weekly unemployment report. Again, remember, this is something you and I are watching to see if it ever spikes over 300,000. We're also watching continuous claims. It did hit a record, I think 2 weeks ago, or at least a short-term record at 1.9 something. Estimates for the weekly unemployment claims were 215,000, came in at 201,000. So again, significantly below expectations. Layoffs are not showing up yet. We will see perhaps if that ticks up in the subsequent weeks. Lots of folks are saying layoffs were held back over the holidays. 201,000 weekly unemployment claims, not quite a low for the year. I think there was 188,000 reported in February, but that is the second lowest reading of 2024, which was 201. So again, it had some of the last year's numbers in it. So there we go. Just to kind of round out the jobs number, Friday's jobs number is the big number. Last month we did 227,000. That number was kind of dirty with the Boeing strike and some other weather factors. This month is expected to be 155,000. So we shall see. Where were the jobs in the private payroll? As usual, health services, plus 57,000. Construction, actually surprised me. Construction was the largest gainer at number 2 at 27,000. Leisure and hospitality, 22,000. And just to give you a sign of where we are losing jobs, we had manufacturing down 11,000. So, yeah, still losing jobs in manufacturing. Updated results on the Fed Watch tool, pricing in a 95% chance of no reduction. No reduction. We do have a Fed meeting right at the end of January. I'm not sure why that's not 100%, but hey, I guess there's always a chance. We shall see what we have there. Mortgage demand, folks, we've been talking about this on this channel forever. Rates matter. 7% bad, 6% good. Further evidence that we are right. Mortgage demand entirety was down 3.7%. Purchase demand specifically down 7% week on week, although up 15% year on year. I got to go check that. Number. I think it's down. It had to be down 15% year on year, but I'll go check that. My notes are unclear. Refi up 2% week on week, but down 6% year on year. So again, rates matter. I do wonder about refis. I don't know. Although last year refi demand was very low, so it's kind of 2% growth on a really low number is like nothing. But yeah, who's really refining today at 7? I don't know. We have to look at that. I do want to kind of give a shout out to school. We had one new school member join yesterday, Cedric. Thank you for joining. Again, it is something you need to be a part of. 360 folks all going in the same directions. Multiple masterminds and accountability groups each and every week. As for our Vegas event, we are now 38 days away, folks. Time to buy your tickets. We did sell 2 additional tickets yesterday, so we're down to 74 tickets total. I think only 12 VIP are left. Go get your tickets. Bring your spouse. We have a specific focus on helping couples. We're going to have a session each day. Lead that off. You can go ahead and make sure that you guys are on the same page. Network with other couples. Lots of couples come to these events. Also, number 2, get your questions ready. Get your questions ready. My events are very different. You're going to be able to ask each and every speaker questions because they will consume about half their time on a topic and then share with you the rest. And then finally, you're going to get 6 hours of networking. So make yourself a list of people you want to meet and you want to ask questions privately. Because again, it's one thing to ask questions in front of a big group, but maybe you want to ask some questions in private. So folks, that's what I have for the daily financial news. Oh, I don't think I said continuing claims. So let me go back to that. We talked about weekly unemployment claims coming at 201. Continuous claims came in at 1.87 million. That is up 33,000 from last week. But again, we're watching to see if that number ever goes. Really, the first threshold is 2 million, then 2.5, and the really scary number is 3. And then lastly, the 10-year note. The 10-year note is not liking what it's seeing, and we just broke 4.7. 4.7, if you remember our conversations with Dan Bird 2 weekends ago, 4.7 was a resistance. It is now going to be a support, if I understand how this thing works. We did break it. We're now at 4.71 the last time I looked. And if you remember that conversation with Dan Bird, the next resistance, 5%. Could we get there? Absolutely. We could get there. In fact, this may be the thing that kicks rates up into the 8% again for investors and maybe the high 7s for homeowners. Folks, again, 2025, it's going to be a slow transaction market. I'm guessing below 4 million. But as investors, as people who like to do the work, this is our market. This is the market you want. It's slow. Stuff is aging. You can do your research. You can find motivated sellers. You can write creative offers. This is going to go down. And like, if you're doing real estate investing, you're probably going to be doing it for decades. You're going to remember 2025. You're going to be like, oh my God, 2025 was amazing. I could look at a property. I could walk through it. There was no stress. I could write it below asking. I could ask for seller credits. I can ask for repairs. Trust me, you are going to remember 2025 because sometime in the future, it will switch back to a seller's market and you will have to act fast. We are not having that concern in 2025. Folks, have fun. Do me a favor, like, subscribe, comment. The other day I asked for subscriptions and we actually got 75 new subscribers. So I guess that stuff works. So thank you for doing that. Join school and please buy your tickets to Vegas. I want to see you there. I want to take some pictures. I want to have some fun. Later.